You sit back today and you wonder right now, the Yankees, they're playing Kansas City, and you say they're so much better than the Kansas City Royals. But the last two games, they have had a surge of less offense than you would expect. You're going to say, well, what happened Friday night? They had 11 runs, and half of them were from Aaron Judge. And Aaron Judge, to me, is one of the bright stories for the New York Yankees this year. The thing is Aaron Judge bet on him in the offseason. He believed that the Yankees should have paid him or should have offered him more. He was upset about the arbitration, how it was left to the last minute. That was something that really pissed him off. And you sit here after everything he said at the All-Star break, you wonder, does he want to be here? But that doesn't matter. When you look at the Yankees right now and you wonder and you judge what you've seen, and obviously Brian Cashman has been active since the All-Star break, bringing in Andrew Benintendi, you think that they're going to figure this out. But with Houston playing the way they are, Seattle making a trade for a top-end pitcher in Luis Castillo, and Seattle still facing where they can get into the wild card spot, and they believe they can. They give up a lot for Luis Castillo, as well as they should, because if he's as dominant as people think he was with Cincinnati, he could be very good in the American League. But getting back to the Yankees problem right now is their rotation. Luis Castillo has been on their minds really for the last 3 months. They struck out. And Brian Cashman usually does. Every single player that everybody says the Yankees are interested in, ever since George Steinbrenner has passed away, they've not gotten. And Aaron Judge, to me, should be the number one priority to the New York Yankees. This man has 41 home runs. He leads the league in RBIs. He's one of the best center fielders in the league. It's really amazing what this guy has done this year. And the last 2 years staying as healthy as he's been. But again, sitting here today, the Yankees and Aaron Judge are not going to come to a contract agreement until the end of the season. Aaron is not going to sit there and negotiate any deals with the Yankees. He says he's going to concentrate on the Yankees, he's going to concentrate on the game, and then worry about it after. But if you're a Yankee fan today and you want Aaron Judge to sign, after everything that he said at the All-Star break, I wouldn't be excited going into the offseason. But we're not talking about the offseason because right now the Yankees have the best record in baseball. They're starting to get back into the winning ways after going 4-6 since the All-Star break. They're starting to win. And then the Yankees need to find runs because this is what happened with the Mets before the All-Star break. They couldn't get any runs. They were having problems finding runs and getting guys on base. And then when the Yankees get runners in scoring position, they have problems getting them home. So Brian Cashman, all the Yankee fans, all the doubters, thinking that Brian Cashman doesn't know what he's doing. He's an idiot. He's stupid. He's the worst GM in baseball. He makes a move for Andrew Benintendi, who's one of the best hitters in baseball. Yes, one of the top hitters in the American League, one of the top hitters in all of baseball. And got him for 3 prospects. Probably all 3 of them you'll probably never hear of. They might never even step foot on a major league field. Now, if Andrew Benintendi helps the Yankees win a World Series, it wouldn't even matter. They could have been top prospects. It could have been Dominguez. It could have been anybody. If he helps them, and he's a big part of the Yankees winning a World Series, nobody's going to care. So you sit here today and you wonder, what should Brian Cashman do at the end of this trade deadline? Here's what I would say. They need to add another arm in the bullpen. That is very important after losing King. I know everybody's going to say Loizaca's coming back. Chapman just came back. I think the Yankees bullpen will be fine, but King was a big part of that bullpen. The Yankees have made mistakes going after athletic starting pitchers. They are talking about one. I would stay away from any athletic pitcher. It doesn't make any sense. They've brought 2 athletic pitchers in the last 7 years. Sonny Gray being one of them, who was a top pitcher in baseball, and it didn't work. If the Yankees are looking to bring in another athletic pitcher, it's going to take a lot for the Yankees to pull the trigger on something like that.
Yeah, I think because the Athletics are going to be having a high asking price, too. If the Yankees were to have as high of an asking price, I think they would have went after Castillo. You talk about Seattle giving up a lot the way they did. They gave up their number 1 prospect, a 20-year-old shortstop in Noelsi Marte, who the Yankees would have had to give up somebody really high in their system comparatively, and the Mariners also gave up 2 other big ones, too. So that would have been the price for that. And Montas, I don't think has been as steadily good throughout his career as Castillo has been. Now, his stuff is good. I'm not worried about him comparatively to the same of what Sonny Gray was, because I thought that at the time Sonny Gray wouldn't fit with the Yankee because it's Yankee Stadium, not being a power pitcher. Now, I agree with you, should pursue more depth pitching more than it is quality of just one pitcher and having a lot, because these bullpen, yes, they have some pieces that have been very good this year, but like you were saying, Loizaga has been up and down with injury and hasn't come back the same yet. Chapman, since his injury, has not been the same. He was great the first month and a half of the season and all of a sudden fell off. So I think the Yankees could definitely use some more bullpen depth, too, to target. I love the Benintendi move. I was advocating for it at the time, even when it seemed like the rumor wasn't going to happen, because I do believe that they want to keep Aaron Judge from having to play center field all the time so he doesn't get hurt. They'll need his bat. Once they end up clinching and gaining ground, they're going to want to limit him where he doesn't get hurt towards the end of the season. So Benintendi playing center field, which he's done not as a main thing, but throughout his career, I think is a good idea. So I love that move. I would imagine one of them will hit for the Royals, but it's nothing that bad that's going to hit the Yankee system, just because the Royals are good with bullpen arms, but nothing big. They didn't give up anything. And I think pitching depth, there's a lot of good relief pitchers on the market from both bad teams and also veteran guys that I think the Yankees could definitely target down the road. And Brian Cashman, you're right. He's going to make those gem moves that are going to make a difference, whether it's relief pitching wise or a starter that may be a fringe guy for the postseason. Pitching depth wins in today's baseball, not as much the raw like the Nationals had with the top three, the big three rotation. Like, you don't see a lot of those anymore. It's more pitching depth that wins.
It's so funny how people argue that, well, if you have these two-star pitchers, you're going to win. And it hasn't been that way for the last couple of years.
The Dodgers would have 5 World Series.
Yeah, it just, to me, it's all about relief pitchers and what your bullpen is going to do. And everybody keeps talking about how good Houston is and how dangerous Houston is. And the Yankees are going to have problems with them. We don't even know what this Houston Astros team is, okay? Yeah. And their bullpen is not as good as they were when they were cheating. You look at the Yankees still have the best bullpen in baseball. Even losing King, they have the best bullpen, the most depth in baseball. But as the season slowly but surely comes to an end, the Yankees have to stay healthy. They got to understand who they are as an organization and a team and make sure that they keep these arms healthy enough to get through the playoffs. With the Mets, I think when you look at the Mets, and the Mets have played good baseball since the All-Star break. They really have. They're hitting. They're getting pitching. It looks like Jacob deGrom could be back by next week. If you're a Met fan, you should be very excited because you're finally going to get to see Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom in the same rotation. Two dominant pitchers, two of their era, really have been fantastic. And I think 2 Hall of Famers, no question. But you look at the Mets, I think their bullpen, they have to reassure that this bullpen is better than it is, because even in the Yankee series, and everybody keeps talking about they swept the Yankees, goody gumdrops. That doesn't mean anything. The Yankees could lose all 4 games against the Mets this year. And if the Mets play the Yankees in the World Series, who do you think is going to be favorites? Not the Mets, because the Yankees bullpen is the best in baseball. And even though the Mets got that extra innings hit and they look like, oh, we got to them. The Yankees don't care about those games. I'm sitting here as a Yankee fan. I was not upset that the Mets swept the Yankees. A matter of fact, if you ask Josh, I said they were going to split it, or I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets sweep them in Citi Field. That's how sure I was that the Yankees weren't going to win both games as much as he thought it was. But they made a trade with Cincinnati. They added a bat. They added a pitcher for their bullpen. It's not the best relief pitcher. It's not the best bench hitter, but they added some depth. They need to go after another arm, and a good arm in that bullpen. An arm that you could depend on in extra innings or middle of that bullpen, where if you're pulling a pitcher in the 4th or 5th inning in the playoffs, you could take this pitcher and go 3 innings with him. They don't have that guy. They got Diaz, who could shut you down in the 9th inning. I wouldn't put him in the 8th. He's had problems pitching 2 innings.
Yeah.
He's not very good there. They need to find somebody between 6, 7, 8, so you can get to Diaz in 9. And they don't have it. I don't want to hear about Seth Lugo. I don't want to hear about any of these guys. These guys have not secured their position in that bullpen. But that's the problem with the Mets. They'll get hits. McNeil's one of the best hitters in baseball. Pete Alonso's one of the best power hitters in baseball. Lindor has started to hit the ball. Escobar is finally hitting the ball. They're all trying to figure out who they are on this team and what the identity is of this team. But I think that this team is good enough as far as lineup is concerned, Speedy. But this bullpen is one of the worst. Out of all the teams that are playoff contenders, this is probably one of the worst bullpens out of all of them.
And it lacks a lot of depth, too, when it comes to lefties. I think that's one of the reasons they made the move with the Reds. It's a small move, but they need the lefties in the worst way. There's a couple other targets. I was mentioning Wade Miley as a fringe guy from the Cubs. David Robinson's another getting brought up if they want to package that. People are saying it's going to be like a package deal with those 2 guys because the Cubs are on a file sale.
I would not take Contreras. I know everybody's sitting here. You have Alvarez. Why would you bring in Contreras?
I don't
You're
necessarily
going to have to
want
give up a prospect.
I know. I want them to prioritize the pitching more. So
You're going to have to give Beatty, but you're
No.
going to have to give Beatty. You're going to have to give one of your top prospects for Contreras. They're not going to just say, here, take one of the best catchers in baseball. We'll give him to you.
yeah, I want them to prioritize the relief pitching more. I definitely want at least two. The name they were brought up during the game against the Marlins yesterday was the Marlins relief pitcher was a lefty. Steven Okert is another name, 2.72 ERA, high strikeout rate as well for the amount of innings he's been in. And Andrew Chafin is the main guy I've been wanting from the Tigers too. Michael Fulmer, bring him back after being part of the Cespedes trade is another option if they want to take two from Detroit is definitely a possibility. But they definitely need some level of depth in that bullpen because, yes, they're getting DeGrom back, so they're going to have more depth in the starting rotation. Now, we'll see if those other guys can now pitch well out of the bullpen if that's the case. You have to move either Peterson down, which they started to do already because he's a lefty. Tyler McGill, when he comes back, maybe that's a role for him because you're right. Seth Lugo hasn't been good this year. He had that one strong start against the Yankees. That was it. Trevor May, he might come back, but he hasn't pitched well for the Mets consistently yet. And then Drew Smith just got hurt again. So there's a lot not to be able to trust in that bullpen. The second best pitcher in the bullpen probably right now is Ottavino, but we know he could be very streaky. Even though he has a 2.35 ERA right now, it might be tough to trust from a day-to-day basis and in the postseason, a game-to-game basis. So I'm hoping for a Chafin-Miley combo or an Okert combo, something like that, because they definitely need a lefty. But I want two relief pitchers if I'm the Mets.